scholars, how are you? This is Mr. Israel, and I'm the RPS specialist for history and the social sciences. Well, you might say, who are you and what is that? I'm the person that's responsible for going around working with your teachers to help them as they help you. And so today, I have volunteered to do a video to help you learn a little bit about history and maybe do a little bit of review of some things that you know already. Now, what's important is I've got a timer, right? Because no one wants to have time not used wisely. So I'm going to set my timer on my clock or my timer on my phone, right? And we're going to get ready to talk about and learn a little bit about history today. All right, if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen and you go ahead and get a good seat, get comfortable, and let's get started with our lesson for today. All right, so history and the social studies, understanding us, a weekly dive into historical skills and thinking, okay? So I want you to think about this. We're going to dive, right, head first into our study of history. Now, I've got a question for you. What's your name? You heard me say mine. I'm Mr. Israel. What's your name? Go ahead, say them out. All right. Wonderful names. Beautiful names. I think I can remember that. All right. Hold me to it when you see me in your schools again. All right, let's get into it. Now, are you able to grab your favorite notebook and a pen or pencil for me? Can you do that? That'll be great. Go ahead and get that so that you can take some notes down and also do some of the activities that we want to do today. Okay? You got it? All right, let's go. Now, we got a word of the day. We're going to always have a word of the day. So, today's new word is, let's see if you can guess, artifact. I know you've heard that word before, artifact. Why don't you try it out and say it? Artifact. Say it fast. Artifact. Okay, that sounds good. You're on point and you're ready to roll. Now, why do we need artifacts? What is an artifact? What exactly is that? An artifact is something from long ago that people used in their everyday lives. Remember that. An artifact is something from long ago, way back in the day, that people used in their everyday lives. And these are some artifacts. On the left side, you see they look like stones that have been cut into like maybe an off round, sphere, and then maybe a square, right? And you see it's got a hole in the middle. Maybe it was used for like holding some kind of post or a flagpole or something. Look on the right side. You see that hammer, but then next to it, you see that big stone. Both of these at different periods in history would have been used to maybe hammer something together or to break something apart. Let's take a look at a couple more. You see on the left, that is an old car from back in the day, based upon the idea of what they call the Model T. And that's a car, one of the very first cars that was made here in America. And take a look at the dolls on the right side. These are all artifacts, and they tell us things about the past. I want to share with you a brief portion of a video, okay? And let's see if we can find out a little bit more about artifacts. Okay, here we go. Well, let me make sure. I want to make sure that we've got the volume. So what I need to do is make sure that I've checked that so that you can hear. And I think we're good to go now. All right, here we go.
We talk a lot around here about different kinds of living things, ones that are alive today and ones that lived in the past. But do you know one living thing that scientists are always interested in learning more about? People. People have been around for hundreds of thousands of years, and human life has changed a lot in that time. How do we know? Well, a lot of what we know about how people lived in the past comes from what they've left behind. These things that were made or used by people in the past are called artifacts. Artifacts can be really old, like the stone tools that early humans used. Or they can be not very old at all, like some cans that people tossed away just 50 years ago. No matter how old they are, there are scientists whose job it is to find and study these artifacts.
All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and come back to our artifacts page, okay? Now remember what she just said from the SciShow, is that these artifacts help people to understand more about the past. You got that? All right, now take a look here. We use artifacts to learn more about history, okay? Now, that leads us to the next thing. What do you think history is? Go ahead, you can throw some things out. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a whiteboard, not a blackboard. I'm going to pull up a whiteboard. See, I'm from the old school where we use blackboards or chalkboards, but we're going to pull up a whiteboard, and I'm just going to use my finger. And, you know, what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to write the word history. Take a look. History. What word do you see immediately in that word history? You see story. Let's hold that and let's go back and take a look at our lesson. What do you think history is? Okay. Now notice this is history written in a fun way. This is cursive. Have any of you experimented with cursive? Okay. Take a look here. History is what? It is, wait for it, the way that we remember things that have happened. Can you say that? What's history? The way that we remember things that have happened. Very good. Now, how do you remember good things so you can think about them later? I want you to think about that. What do you use to remember things so that you can think about them later? I'm gonna stop sharing real quick. Look me in the face so you can see me again, and I just want you to tell me, what things do you do to help remember good stuff? Can you brainstorm on that for a minute? What kind of things do you do? Now, let's go back to the blackboard. I keep calling it a blackboard. See, I'm living in history. All right. Remember the question. What things do you do to remember history? Do you tell people? What about take a picture? Do you draw it? Do you write about it? Look at that. Do you write about it? Are these some of the things that you do in order to remember history? All right, very good. So here's what I need you to do right now. Can you draw a picture of something that you can remember? Can you do that? Maybe it's a trip, maybe it's a family party or a special day. Maybe it was getting your first pet, or maybe it was your first day at school. I just want you to do a little sketch real quick, and I'm gonna look over you while you're working on this. Just keep an eye on what you got going on. Now, you don't have to do anything like really super fantastic, nothing really big, because you can work on that after the lesson today, right? But just sort of jot down right? A little image or a little picture to remember something that was really special. Go ahead and start, putting the little skeleton out there, and then you can finish it up afterwards. All right, let's go back and let's make sure that we're learning a little bit more about this thing called history. All right, now take a look here. You've done a great job. I give you applause. Why? Why was that a great job? It was a great job because what you just did was you recorded history. With the picture that you drew, right, of the event or the special day, that is what historians do. We keep track of things that have taken place in the past. Very special. You just recorded history. Fantastic. Now remember, doing history is like solving a mystery, right? Take a look at the little girl and the little boy. Look at the questions they're asking. She wants to know, what did kids do all day? And what did kids do all day back in the past? She wanted to know what kind of toys kids were playing with back in 1850. That's a long time ago. And the little boy's asking, what did they wear? Can you think of some other questions that you would ask about history and people in the past? Okay, go ahead. Keep throwing some of those out. What would be questions that you would ask about back in the day about history? Yes, I agree with that one too. I'd be wondering, what did they eat? That's fantastic. That is exactly what I'd be thinking about. So we want to keep always looking for clues to answer our questions about the past. Now take a look at this. Back then, the pictures that are in black and white, you see those? You've got a picture of a school on the left, some kids in school, and on the right side, you've got a Native American, an indigenous person, or we would call a Virginia Indian. This is actually a Virginia Indian at the top right. So these are the two older pictures that are in black and white. Now look at the pictures from our time period, the 2000s, right? Those were from the 1900s. See the kids on the left bottom? Now you see that the pictures on the bottom are in color, right? Because the cameras back in the 1900s didn't have the ability to make the images in full color. And that's one of the ways that we can normally tell whether a picture is from the past or whether it's a picture from our time period in more modern times. All right? Now, let's play a game real quick, okay? I'm going to show you some pictures and you tell me if it's history or if it's not history, okay? If it is history, here's what I want you to do. I want you to give me a thumbs up if it is history. And if the picture I show you isn't history, I want you to give me a thumbs down. Are you ready? All right, let's have some fun with this. And let's see if you can figure out what's history and what's not. All right, here we go. What's behind curtain number 1? All right, here we've got an old coin. That's an old coin from back in the day. I need you to tell me, is that history? What do you say? Get your answers in. And the answer is yes, you are correct. That is history. Let's take a look now at the next one. A duck. Is a duck history? Get your answers in. Let me see those thumbs. No. A duck is not history. All right, one more. The pyramids. Now, those look pretty old, don't they? Yes. Are the pyramids, are these history? Yes. Thumbs up. These are history. Great job. Now, before we end today, and let's go ahead and do a review. We're making good time. All right? You ready to review? Here we go. What's an artifact? Did you write that down? So that's one of the things I want you to do when we finish the video today is make sure you go back and write down the definition of artifact. An artifact is something from long ago that people used in their everyday lives. Remember, we saw the video clip and we also showed some images of artifacts. Feel free to run the video back to see those, okay? We use artifacts to tell us more about history. Now, we've got another question. What is history? Do you remember the definition that I gave you of history? Real simple definition that just sort of helps you remember. History is the way that we remember things that have happened. Remember that. History is the way that we remember things that have happened. Now, you've got a mission. When the video's over, I want you to go back and finish those things that you didn't finish before, right? Your history, memory, pictures, etc. But I want you to start on this, and then at the end of the week, I want you to work on this little mission. For your next mission, see if you can create an artifact, something which can be remembered in the future, a drawing or a paper object, right? Something you make out of paper, or even something that you make out of clay. But make sure you ask your family before you start. Now, let me say to you, I have been so excited to share with you a little bit about history today. You have been a great class. I love the things that you all have shared. I love that one-on-one attention that you gave me by answering my questions and playing along with the game. And I hope that you learned some things and maybe had a good review on some things that you learned already. I am so excited to see what the next teacher who steps up is going to share with you. I'm sure it's going to be great. And we're going to be sharing responsibilities. And so you're going to have different teachers stepping up throughout the course of the next weeks, actually doing some more teaching and some lessons with you on history. It has been great. And I can't wait to see you again in person. But until then, you and your family, you have a great one, okay? And be safe. All right. Have a good one. Goodbye.